Hey, it's Hannah, and we're going to move through a rest practice for the hips. So we'll give them a good stretch and then release them through some longer held stretches. So we're going to start in a child's pose. You can widen out through your knees, allow your toes to touch, and sink your hips back towards your heels. Rest your head down either on the ground or maybe you bend an arm and rest your forehead on your forearm. And take a few long, slow breaths here. Think about really breathing into the back of your body, purposely slowing down every breath. And one more breath here, nice and slow. And we'll inhale to come up to hands and knees. Feel free to take a bit of a wider stance, and we'll breathe in to arch the back and breathe out to round. Just a couple more like that. Inhale, tip your tailbone up, drop your belly down, and shine your heart through your arms. Exhale to round your back, push the ground away like a Halloween cat. One more. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. And this time we'll inhale just like you've been doing, arch your back. And as you exhale, start to sink your hips back to your heels for a child's pose. Inhale to come back up, arch your back, your cow spine. Exhale, round and pull back towards child's pose. So just layering a child's pose into this cat-cow flow. A nice way to release through the spine and the hips. Take your time. Don't worry about moving at the same pace as me. And you might find that you even want to land in one of these shapes and take a couple extra breaths. That's great. Keep listening to your body. And this time we'll stay with a long, flat back. Let's inhale to stretch the right leg long and exhale to bend your knee, tuck it behind the left. You can walk your hands in a little closer, and we'll do some cat-cows from here. And you should feel a nice stretch through that outer left hip. And really focus on your tailbone and your lower back as you flow. And we'll unravel with an inhale, stretch your leg and lower it down. And we'll go right into the second side. Stretch your left leg long with your inhale. Exhale to tuck it back behind you. Second side. And even though the left leg is behind, we're feeling this through the right hip and thigh. Again, focus on your tailbone, your low back as you cat-cow through your spine. A nice variation of our more traditional cat-cows. And the next time that you breathe in, stretch your left leg long and lower it back down. Come back to a regular tabletop. You might need to walk your hands a little further forward. And slide your right knee towards your right wrist for pigeon pose. Now, if that doesn't feel good, you can do this option here, which is our deer pose, where you can bend that back knee so your left thigh is meeting the right foot, and you can fold over the shin or the thigh. Otherwise, hang out in this pigeon pose. You can stay up on your fingertips to get into your heart a little bit more, or you can lower down onto your forearms and hang out here a little bit lower. Get a little deeper into the hip that way, and it just feels a little bit more restful. And just a couple more breaths. You can always take more time. Feel free to pause the video if you're really loving this stretch. Otherwise, plant your palms, slide your right leg back to hands and knees, and straight over to the second side. Left knee to left wrist. Again, feel free to do that deer pose variation. I have a whole other video on that if you want to check it out. It's the pigeon pose option video. You might stay up or you might fold down, or you could do each one for a few breaths. Wherever you are, breathe into that left hip, left thigh. Let your mind rest there. And just a couple more breaths. And eventually, you can plant your palms and slide your left knee back and come back to hands and knees and sink into one more child's pose. It might already feel a little bit different than that first child's pose at the very start of this video, now that we've released the hips a little bit. And come on up through hands and knees and just turn over so that you're lying on your back. No fancy way to get there. Just come to lie down. Hug your legs in, give them a good squeeze. Send them a little thank you for all that work they just did. Then keep a hold of just your right leg. You can lower your left foot down or even stretch your left leg long. Notice how it feels through your low back. Then hug that right knee in a little bit closer. The next time you breathe in, reach your right heel up to the ceiling. You can grab a hold to the back of that right thigh or go hands free. Point and flex through your foot. Notice how that changes the sensation along the back of your leg. And then we'll bend the knee, hug it in once more. You can stay like that, or you can come into half happy baby. So guide your right knee towards your right shoulder, about a 90-degree bend, and you can hold on to your foot or your shin or whatever part you can grab. Keep your leg as it is. Bend your left knee, foot on the floor. Bring your right ankle over the left thigh and push your right knee away for figure four. You can reach your arms wide to a T or do cactus arms. And roll to the outer edge of that left foot. A twisty figure four. And then roll to the inner edge of your left foot and notice how that changes the sensation. Go back and forth a few times here. Notice all the changes through your low back, through your hips. The next time you roll to the outer edge of your left foot for that twisty figure four, stay there. You can gaze to the ceiling or over to your right hand. Just take a couple more easy, slow breaths. And come back to center when you're ready. Stretch your left leg long, and you can keep your ankle over the thigh or just move it off to the side a little bit, like a tree pose lying on your back. This will get into the inner hip and thigh. When you've had enough, stretch your right leg long. Take a big morning stretch. And then we'll pull the left knee in and we'll even this out. So just give it a hug. Again, you could bend your right knee if that feels better on your low back. The next time you breathe in, reach your foot up to the ceiling. You can point and flex. Move around through that foot and feel how that changes the sensation on the back of your leg. We'll pull that leg in one more time. You can stay there like we were before, or again, turn it into half happy baby. 90-degree bend of the knee, pulling it in towards your armpit. The sole of the foot shines to the ceiling. Keep your leg as it is. Bend the right knee if it wasn't already, and place left ankle over right thigh. Maybe you push the left knee away. Figure four. And then we'll play with that rock so you can reach your arms wide to the sides. Roll to the outer edge of your right foot for your twisty figure four. And then roll to the inner edge. Keep going side to side a few times and just notice the change in sensation. Rolling along the back of your hips. And then we'll land in that twisty figure four. So sole of the left foot comes down towards the right side. You can gaze to the left to bring that twist up into your neck. A few easy, slow breaths into your belly. Slowly unravel. Sole of the right foot flat on the floor, and then stretch that leg out. You can stay here or turn this into a tree pose on your back by just moving that left foot over a little so the outer edge is on the ground. When you've had enough, you can just straighten out that leg and take a big morning stretch. Bend your knees, and this is where that pillow comes in handy. We're going to lift the hips and tuck your support underneath your hips. Now you can straighten out the legs from here. I like a little bit more of a release through the hips, so I'm just gonna rebend my knees, lift my hips, and fold that pillow in half so I'm a little bit higher up. And from here, you can allow your hands to rest at your side or even reach for opposite elbow overhead. Should feel really nice. Nice way to open up through the front of the body and especially through the front of your hips. And take a few long, slow breaths. Imagine like you could breathe into the front of your hips. Again, if this doesn't feel good, just keep your knees bent and you can do a supported bridge pose. That is fantastic as well. When you're ready to come out of this, simply bend your knees. We're going to do a very advanced yoga move. We're going to lift the hips and push that pillow down under the knees. From here, you can bring the soles of your feet together and your knees wide, and they'll be nice and supported by that pillow. You can use your blanket as a gentle weight and place it over your abdomen or your thighs, just for a little more comfort and ease as we melt into this Supta Baddha Konasana, supine butterfly pose. You can stay just as you are, or you can layer in a little bit of breath work. So for this, I'm doing a cyclical sigh. Send the first half of your inhale to your belly, the second half to your chest, and open your mouth to sigh it out long and slow. First half of your breath in goes to the belly, second half to the chest. Maybe pause in the fullness and open your mouth to sigh it out. So it's in 3 parts. First half of the inhale to the belly, second half to the chest, and a long sigh to let it go. You can do as many cycles of this as you'd like. Try for at least 5 or 6 to really get the swing of it. And keep your breath slow, really dragging out each portion. When you feel like you've had enough, come back to your regular breath. You can stay as you are, or maybe you straighten out your legs. You could even place the blanket over yourself as we tend to cool off during these restful practices. So make sure you are nice and totally comfortable as we melt into Shavasana, our final resting pose. You have nothing to do. Your only job is to just breathe. And maybe notice that there's a little more space through your hips and a little more space in your thoughts. The beauty of a restful, releasing yoga practice. Stay and rest as long as you'd like. And before you go, just bring your hands someplace meaningful for you and send a mental thank you to your body and to yourself for being here and taking this time to practice. You've done something powerful and meaningful. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Peace.